I'm going to kill myself! Exclamation mark. Lol. My mom bought herself fake tits for Christmas last year. She said it was a gift from a secret admirer, which was already bending fragility to the breaking point, but turned out she had this horrible allergy to silicone. She basically almost died. Cooper! Have you seen my dog's cycling? Cooper! Anyway, when she came back from the hospital, she was like beaming in this insane way because she supposedly found God, which, by the way, you think only happens in the movies, but she even came back with like a rosary for a limb, which, by the way, her doctor gave her, since I'm pretty sure he's the one who converted her, which I'm pretty sure has to be against the law. She probably mistook his fanaticism for romantic interest and thought they were going to get married or something. But I did some thorough investigating, and it turns out he's totally married with this crazy racial hybrid for a family and spends his summers doing missionary work at this bizarro cult in Africa. Mom pretends not to care and that she never actually liked him in the first place. Another example of her horrifying denial. And I personally don't believe in God. And I think it's ridiculous and hypocritical to all of a sudden believe in him the minute things get dark or you think you're going to die. But I also don't explicitly not believe in God because, who knows? What was that? Just answering emails. And don't get me wrong, I hate atheists just as much as I hate religious jerks. I mean, either way, you're just stubborn and closed and you're not listening to anything new because your puny brain's already made up its stupid mind. Like, just for instance, look at nature. Have you even actually looked? It's amazing, and I don't know who or what is responsible for all this amazing stuff, and neither do you. And I don't want to be the one who said the whole Jesus or God or Buddha thing was bullshit just so I can die and find out that it wasn't bullshit, and then I've got to go through an eternity regretting it. But I also don't want to waste my time while I'm here just sitting on the sidelines talking to a fucking statue either. I guess that's just, like, the question, and honestly, who even cares after a while? It's like, change the fucking channel, am I right? So this is the party room. My dad used to use it for functions and fundraisers or whatever, but since he split my mom's a hermit, it's pretty much been my job to keep the dust off. I usually invite about 1/3 actual friends and 2/3 industry friends, who are mostly just assistants to casting directors and agents and producers and stuff. They might be mostly annoying assholes now, but in 5 years, they'll be the ones calling me with good news. That's the philosophy, at least. That's me on the first episode of the 4th season of One Heart Apart. My character was basically this giant slut who dies from an abortion. It was really controversial at the time, and the Huffington Post even interviewed me about it. But what it really did for me was it expanded my network times like 100, and I made some really great contacts. Also, the casting director for the show is always doing really big shit, so now she knows me, which is like half the battle. Oh my god! Last summer, a skydiver whose chute didn't open fell through the glass right over there, dying horribly, but instantly, thank God. When the police and the paramedics arrived, they turned him over, and apparently his skin was being eaten away by some poisonous plant he fell into. It turned out that our old housekeeper, Milena, was growing this crazy arsenal of poisonous shit, like 20 different species. And when she was being questioned, she just sat there and stared. Didn't say or even acknowledge anything. But who knows what would have happened to us if that guy's chute had opened. Another reason why I don't not believe in God. I don't really date that much, and not for the same reason as my friend Janie, who's just hopeless. It's more of a career decision than a personal one. But my second-to-last boyfriend, John, was this really smart, really sensitive guy who was just amazing at painting and drawing and writing and literally knew everything about everything. And okay, I just feel like most artists just have secondhand taste. You know, like movies or bands that people told them to like, and so they just strap it on as a badge or something. But I really think an artist is only as good as his inspirations. And the thing about John was that he was really smart, but also totally unpretentious. And whenever he gave me a piece of art or a book to read, it was actually great or actually exciting in a way you could see and didn't have to read about. And his art was like that too. And the problem was that he'd be the one arguing with you about it. He was so insecure and just aggressively neurotic. Like, for instance, he was 5'4", which is basically the definition of who cares. You could totally tell that he was obsessed with it, which doesn't exactly help if you're trying not to be. And also, he didn't come from a lot of money. Again, who cares? And he worked in the daytime as a valet. Again, who cares? And he was completely indifferent to what he called fashion, but what I call grooming, which would be totally whatever if only he himself was okay with it, but he wasn't. So then, okay, so there was this rap party for that show I did, One Heart Apart. And John didn't want to go, which, yeah, probably prompted him to not want to go, if I'm being honest. There was this actor there from the show, Nick Bradley, who was basically retarded, but everyone was completely in love with him because he did cameos and features, and apparently he was interested in me because I pretty much couldn't care less. But long story short, we hooked up, superficial sparks flew, I broke up with John, which made him weep in a way that I never want to see another man weep. So, of course, the Nick thing lasted for like 2 days, obviously. And then a couple months after I broke things off with the first guy, John, the artist, he was diagnosed with leukemia. And I only saw him like one time, but he was already well into the chemo and pretty much bald and could barely breathe. And I wasn't sure if he recognized me, but like right after the nurse introduced me, like before I could even say anything, he grabbed my arm and begged me, like literally begged me to kill him. And so I basically had this huge panic attack and like tore out of there and ran home and cried nonstop for like 2 weeks, during which time I guess he died, or I don't guess he died. He died. And now, when I think about it, I guess I really dodged a bullet. I'm supposed to be waiting on a call from my agent, but this house is notorious for having zero reception, which during pilot season, when your entire career hinges on the next call. See?